Hey everyone, what's going on? Delrith here, bringing you another rapid-fire review, this time for the game Days Gone. Days Gone is a third-person survival action RPG developed by Ben's Studio and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'd like to start by apologizing for the delay in the review of Days Gone. It came right at the moment that I was leaving for LA to go cover Borderlands 3, which took about 4-ish, maybe 5 days, and right as Joe was leaving for the YouTube Summit in New York. In the end though, we decided it's better to get a review up, even if it's a rapid fire, rather than let something that's pretty dang good go by without getting the proper credit it deserves. Days Gone, to summarize it real quick, is a story-driven game taking place a couple years after the majority of mankind was wiped out due to a viral outbreak that virtually turned everyone into zombies. I mean, they're not really zombies, they're like feral humans and they behave with like pack mentalities and all that, you know, things that animals would. You play as Deacon St. John, a biker with a troubled past who has dealt with an absolute ton of horrible crap in the last few years, just trying to make it by with his friend Boozer, another biker, in the hell that the world has become. Throughout your playthrough, you'll be visiting camps, meeting with other survivors, and generally just unwrapping the mystery behind the virus and attempting to get away from it all and find a place safe from the hordes. Visually, I think Days Gone is actually the most impressive piece of work I've ever seen on a console, and I don't say that lightly. I know when I talk about consoles, I usually use Bloodborne as the pinnacle of graphics design and how nothing comes close, but Days Gone honestly blew it out of the water. I can genuinely say that I have absolutely no idea how they were able to fit as much detail in the game that they did, and almost everything looks like something you'd only see on a high-end computer. The ground clutter is all modeled out and dense, and the environments themselves, if you actually get a chance to stop running for your life and look at them, are astounding. A downside to this though is that there are a good number of FPS drops, but good lord does it look good while you stutter. It's extremely easy to see the impact that the Freakers have had on the civilized areas too in a visual sense, with blood, feces, urine, and all sorts of nasty things smeared all over the place, with it all helping to build a highly immersive experience that really had me on edge a few times while sneaking around. It's just done so damn well. The Freakers themselves are absolutely disgusting to look at, and with a large variety of different enemies, I never felt as if anything was repetitive or non-unique. They're just grotesque, with parts hanging off their bodies, all emaciated and whatnot, and honestly it was refreshing to see a game that didn't hold back in any sense, as there's even freaking zombie children. Like, zombie children. They scream and they're just awful, and I genuinely love it. The characters too are immensely detailed and all the animations are fantastic. I wouldn't quite compare them to the quality of Witcher 3's, but they're pretty damn close and I love the personalities behind all of them. None of them felt phoned in, copy-pasted, or boring in any respect, and they all had unique styles that made them stand out more as individuals. Their voice acting was all on point, and all of this really made the narrative super strong. I genuinely don't have any complaints about anything in relation to the characters themselves. They could have drugged him!
No, he's losing too much blood. You gotta stop. He's losing too much blood. Hand me the gun.
You could have drugged him! What the fuck are you doing? I just brought you drugs!
Boozer, come on, man. Come on.
What? Use something. Why are you using a kitchen knife? What the fuck type of doctor? Don't use a kitchen knife! Are you crazy? What the fuck? Actually, now that I think about it, the sound design in general was fan-fucking-tastic. The firearms, freaker noises, and everything in between all kicked ass and didn't disappoint me in any way. From a technical standpoint, though, I have to mention that there are a good number of problems, a few of which are already patched, luckily, but more than enough left that there needs to be a mention. First off, FPS will plummet unless you're on the PS4 Pro. Even on my Pro, it wasn't uncommon for me to drop down to 20 FPS, and I can only imagine how bad it was on standard consoles. You're also going to encounter a lot of just general bugs. I had world de-rendering bugs, loading bugs, menu bugs, teleporting, freezing, and I even fell through the world a few times, which is something that probably shouldn't happen on launch. The issues will definitely affect your experience at some point, so be prepared for it, but there are a lot of autosaves and saves in general, so you never really lose any progress if something game-breaking occurs. I think right now they're working on optimization, so we'll have to see how much that helps. The gameplay loop in Days Gone is fairly simple and not too entirely complex. You'll be scavenging around, getting materials for basic items like bandages, weapon repairs, etc., and maintaining or upgrading your motorcycle, which is your primary form of transportation, while you explore the world. Missions will pop up, being offered by the random settlements located in the valley, each with their own theme and style based on the camps that are giving them. Fucking snow, really?
You can't get away from me!
And he still drives perfectly.
I'm not coming back! Go to hell!
If you're working for Cope, a conspiracy theorist, for example, he'll send you to a radio tower to clear it out so he can keep broadcasting his lunacy. This sort of go here and do this mission style actually never felt tedious, as each and every mission I was given it was in a different area, had a different story to it, and was altered enough to not feel samey, and I appreciate that. Your reward for completing missions and doing what people ask of you will be camp reputation, separated into 3 levels you have to earn, and a unique currency to each camp called camp credits. You'll notice that some camps focus on things like bike parts, while others will focus on firearms, really encouraging you to work on every camp and help everyone to get the best stuff in the game. The Freakers, of course, are located everywhere in the world, and a majority of your efforts and time will be spent on doing things like eradicating nests with Molotovs, cleaning out hordes for huge bonuses and secret weapons, and just generally killing them for bounties to return to camps for more money. Days Gone really encourages stealth in a lot of situations too, as the hordes and the special freakers are no joke when it comes to being difficult. Pissing off a horde at night is one of the worst things you can do, most likely resulting in a gruesome cutscene of you being torn apart and eaten. Setting up traps and really planning around bringing down hordes was an awesome concept, and it was executed very well. There's also a skill system in Days Gone. You'll of course be leveling up while you slay hordes of zombies to complete quests, allowing you to progress your character in 3 different areas: melee combat, gunplay, or survival, each offering a different playstyle for you to focus on based on your own personal preference. The melee tree makes you hit harder with melee weapons and allows you to execute bigger enemies in stealth. The gunplay, of course, makes you better with guns, and the survival will give you helpful passives like double harvesting, locating plants on the map, etc., etc.
Get it? Jesus Christ.
I know that was supposed to be a boss fight, and the game doesn't expect you to have the ability to instant kill him at this point, but you know, I don't play games the way they're intended to be played, right? It wasn't a huge focus during gameplay, but it made a big enough impact that I wanted to get through the skill trees, and overall it just added more for me to enjoy. The biggest negative through my playthrough, though, would have to be the repairing routine and loop that Days Gone forces you to go through. Just the constant struggle for gas, the non-stop constant need to repair your melee weapons, and the always necessary repairing of your bike just kinda sucks. It hurt the game, at least to me, to have to stop exploring every 5 minutes just to scavenge and repair my melee weapon. And having it break just after a couple zombie kills sucked in general. I think that Jim Sterling put it best. It feels like a motorcycle maintenance simulator a lot of the time. The gunplay, too, is probably the worst I've experienced in a third-person shooter in a very long time. It just feels incredibly floaty, and the weapons always feel like they're fighting against you, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. I had issues aiming for precise shots, which made stealth weapons mostly worthless, and it was the first time that I ever thought while playing, well damn, I really wish I had a better auto-aim. You can imagine the frustration when you're fighting literally hundreds of enemies at once, and I mean hundreds, and your gun feels like it won't cooperate, even with the focus buff, and I just wish it would have been done better. Most of the time I found guns to be absolutely useless and preferred to use melee weapons as they kill in 1 or 2 hits. Oh yeah, that's another thing. For some damn reason, bullets hit like BB pellets, with simple humanoid enemies who die in 1 melee swing taking 4 or 5 chest shots to go down. It just doesn't make any sense. However, the biggest reason I can look past all these negatives is because the story is genuinely good, and Days Gone is one of the best narratives I've played in a long time. Don't get me wrong, it definitely starts off very slow, but I encourage you to push through the first 6 hours of the game, which are the weakest point, because after that it just keeps getting better and better and better. I really began to like the characters and loved how they developed, and at a certain point just wanted to keep playing it as it was just keeping me captivated. I would put it on the same level as The Last of Us narratively, and at some points it'll definitely tug at your emotions. It was just entirely satisfying all the way through, and I felt it earned the ending it gives. I have to say, great job to Ben Studio. I didn't expect a zombie game to surprise me like this one did and really captivate me for so long. Overall, I have to say that Days Gone, although incredibly buggy and frustrating in some senses, was an entirely worthwhile experience that I can suggest to anyone that owns a PS4. It's one of those games worth picking up and playing through, and although it's not genre defining or even my game of the year so far, it was great and I don't regret playing it in the slightest. Days Gone gets an 8 out of 10, and I feel as if that's as high as I can go given all the technical issues and shoddy gunplay that plagues it, but it's still a super solid score. That's going to be it for this rapid fire style review. If you liked it, do me a solid and hit that like button. And if you're already subscribed, ring the bell to get notifications on new videos in the future. Oh yeah, and if you like the rapid fire reviews or would like to see when I'm doing them live on Twitch, you can head over to my Twitter at AJSADelrith and please give me a follow. I'd appreciate it. I also like it when people go on there and give me suggestions on how I can improve this format, and I'm always looking for advice in the future. Until the next video, this is Delrith, and I'll be seeing ya.